finger and a sweet potato. So
he might go for my hand.
Well, he won't go for your hand, but if you stick your finger in his mouth, he will chomp down.
Oh, gotcha. Here, you got it. Yes, you do. She's so good. Yes, you are. You're just so good.
I'm sure that you've heard before that sloths have terrible eyesight, but they actually have a really rare eye issue that's called rod monochromacy. So they only have rod cells in their eyes and no cone cells. So the cone cells are what's responsible for seeing color, and they are colorblind. But they can see motion quite well. They just can't really distinguish what it is that's moving in front of them.
You want some more? Here you go. See, I'm only going to give you food, okay? You got it. Yes, you do. Yeah. Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. You know, you'd probably still eat that, wouldn't you? Yeah. Oh, you were the sweetest. Yes, you are. Okay, drink. You didn't like the pet. It's okay. I won't give you any more. There's sweet potato. He's not a sweet potato. At least not today, huh?
Yeah, he can be pretty picky on the things that he likes to eat.
Could you eat no sweet potatoes today?
He usually loves the green beans, though. It's hard for him to turn those away.
Okay. You know what? Me too, bud.
One to the next and
That was
early.
nice. Ooh.
So nothing's wrong with that. Nothing bothers.
That's good stuff. These are my favorites too.
So where are you guys in from?
Cincinnati.
Oh wow.
Good ways. You staying on?
Yeah, we're over at the glamp site.
Okay, gotcha.
So,
You liking it pretty well over there?
yeah.
Yeah.
Good.
It's just how much I love sloths. Camping is fine. I mean, I don't like camping, but the sloths is where it's at.
Flash is a two-toed Linnaeus sloth. We only have two toads here in captivity because the three-toed sloths are a lot harder to keep in captivity. Their diets are much more sensitive to what they can eat. In the rainforest, they really only eat the leaves of the sarcopia trees, and the three-toed sloths can't really vary much from that. But obviously, the two-toads can. Their diets can be changed just a little bit, modified to be kept in captivity.
Gotcha.
Two-toed and three-toed refers only to the front paws,
Yes.
is that right?
Yeah, so we say two-toed, but it's talking about the front feet. So we're moving more towards now saying two-fingered and three-fingered sloths because they all have three toes on their back feet.
You are adorable. I love your little nose. Thank you. Are you doing finger stuff?
This is your birthday. You do it.
So Flash came from a different situation from where our other two sloths came from. So we got Zoe, which you guys are the VIP, right? So you'll get to hold Zoe afterwards and we'll talk about her some more. But she came from a facility that basically conditioned her from a very, very young age to enjoy being held by people. It is still ultimately her choice before she
I
left.
was wondering about that.
It's an ambassador program, so it's trying to raise ambassador animals. But if they don't turn out that way and they would rather just chill on their own and not have to be, interacting with people that much, then that's fine. They would just end up going to a facility that's more observation.
Yeah.
But both Zoe and our baby Dash passed that final ambassador test. But Flash came from a facility where he was just observation for the first 3 years of his life. So he was never interacted with like this, never hand-fed his food or held or anything like that. After about 2 years of John, the owner, really working with him, spending time with him, talking to him, getting him comfortable with being around us, is when he started to be interested in hand feeding or eating food out of our hands. Yeah.
So how long has he been here?
He's been here for about 3 years. We got him in early 2022.
Okay.
So.
Now you're happy with it.
Glad to see you got his appetite back this morning. Yesterday he was just not hungry at all.
What? You know what? It's okay. Usually like that.
But Flash has never shown any interest in climbing onto any of us or using us to, support him to get to and from different branches. We've offered, once he comes down low enough and he looks like he's kind of thinking about possibility of hanging on to us, we always go over and offer it, but he's never shown any interest in doing so, so that's totally his decision.
So how do you end up moving him around? So
Yeah, so going back into his enclosure, he hooks on the ledge of the door frame that's up above it, and there's a branch really close to right beside it. He
so
grabs
once you
onto.
open the door, he just kind of makes his own way in there.
Exactly.
Are you getting pictures?
Oh.
We need to get pictures of this guy.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I know he can't see, but very well, but honestly, I think you're staring into my soul. Yeah.
And they also see a lot worse out here where there's an LED light right above him, not just because it's bright, like we think of, but how he has the rod monochromacy. The rod cells really only function to optimum, functioning when it's dim. So they work in dim light.
Gotcha.
And so when there's a real bright light above him, it makes it even harder for him to see.
Yes, I keep you favorites.
So his enclosure in there is a lot dimmer than it is out here.
Oh my goodness, I love you. Wait, there's more.
So watching him hang there, a lot of people think, well, how is he possibly able to do that for so long? I mean, they sleep upside down, they're upside down, all the time unless they're going to use the bathroom at the base of the tree. And that's because how he's clamped down right now around that branch is actually his relaxed state. So it takes no effort, no energy for him to hang on to the branch just like that. He's got tendons all throughout his arms and his legs that are really tight that allow his claws to be clamped down like that. And for him to actually loosen up and extend those claws to reach for the next branch is what takes work and what takes energy to be able to do that. So,
And look at that, he even has like a, that space that doesn't have any fur that kind of helps to
Yep.
grab.
his little paw pad there feels a lot like leather. That is really, really sensitive and helps them to feel what they're grabbing onto.
So how long have you worked here?
I've only worked here for about 3.5 weeks.
Oh,
Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
How do I get a job here? Do they need nurses? Because
Well, I'm wanting to go to vet school, and so I have my bachelor's in animal science,
okay.
and then also have a lot of experience with small animals and large animals. And I actually rode with a large animal vet that would come down here and take care of all of our vet work. And so I knew all of the people and knew most of the animals and everything. And with trying to get into vet school, it's really competitive. Some people say it's more competitive than medical school.
Really?
And so I applied last year and didn't get in. Got an interview with UT, which is really where I want to go, but didn't get accepted. So I'm really hoping that filling the gaps with getting exotics and getting the volunteer.
yes, and
hours.
exotics. Yeah, that would help. I'm sure.
Because I didn't have a whole lot of exotic experience before I started here. They were needing somebody to be more full-time for just the sloths, to do everything sloths, because it can get,
You're so lucky.
we've got 3 sloths right now, we're hoping to get a 4th one once the mother weans her. But
Where will that sloth be coming from?
so we don't really name the facility that they came from,
Oh,
because if
gotcha.
we did on live streams, his phone would never stop ringing and people would be pestering him all the time. and we
Yeah,
would
that makes
probably
sense. That makes
Never get a
sense.
sloth from him again. But it is a breeder that's been doing it for over 30 years. He's actually a veterinarian as well. And he has generations upon generations of sloths at his facility. And so Zoe, Flash didn't come from him, but Zoe and Dash both came from him. And those sloths are further removed genetically from the rainforest than we are from the pilgrims first coming over. So they've been bred in captivity for generations upon generations and would have absolutely no clue what to do if they were to be put back out into the wild. So
Yeah.
his Sloth Zero, the sloth that started it all, started his whole breeding program, was an injured sloth from the wild that could not be returned to the wild. It was a significant enough of an injury that she could not function naturally. If she were to be put back out into the rainforest, she would not have a very long life expectancy. But with some accommodations to her enclosures in captivity, she could live just fine. So that's what started it all, and from there he's just blossomed into everything that he is now. It's a really great facility, great setup there. A lot of knowledge and hours spent with these animals and doing all the research and everything necessary to keep them people often ask if we have any plans of breeding them here, and we do not as of the moment. We do have Flash, and we have, female and everything, but we think that it requires a lot more time, research, and
Yeah, I'm sure.
knowledge about sloths before we were to try to do anything like that.
I love him so much. Let's go. You want it? Are you getting cold?
And that's kind of a cool thing about sloths too, is that they have basically a little internal off switch that they can just turn off when they're not hungry anymore. For me,
I obviously do not have
yeah,
that.
I could have just eaten a full meal and then still feel like I need some ice cream afterwards. But
Right?
they don't have that type of craving because it takes their digestive tract 30 days to digest everything that's in it, so from start to finish, yeah. So it's a very, very slow process, and you can imagine if it takes that long to digest everything, if you continue to eat when you don't need to be eating, it's going to back up pretty quickly.
Oh my god,
So
yeah,
they can
yeah.
turn that off pretty quick if they need to.
Are you got full belly? You're getting that head rubbed.
He is a sweet boy.
Oh my gosh, yes.
And so sloths only really come down out of the tree, like I said, to use the bathroom. And those are very, very infrequent bathroom habits. So they only use the bathroom every 7 to 10 days, so about once a week. And they hold it the whole week to come down to the base of the tree to do all of their business, so both urine and feces. They come down, they use the same tree on the same side of the tree to the same pile that they went the week prior. And that's because of the sloth-moth symbiotic relationship.
I just heard about that on the TikTok actually.
Yeah. So in the wild, they both rely on one another to, do well. The moths rely on them solely to be able to breed and things like that.
Wow.
But the sloths, the moths have a really important role in their digestive system and everything for them. So once the sloth comes down to use the bathroom in the same pile that they did the week prior, those moths that are living all throughout the sloth's fur and the whole ecosystem that he has on his back with moss and algae and everything else, those moths will come down and lay their larvae in a dung pile of that sloth. And then the sloth will go back up into the rainforest and the moths will follow. And then a week later, when the sloth comes back down to use the bathroom, those moths that were larvae have now developed into moths and will climb back up onto the sloth, and the cycle will be repeated. So it benefits the moth because, it's basically a little Uber to and from their breeding ground.
Yeah.
And then,
Right.
it's a whole ecosystem on his back, so there's a food source constantly for them.
So
But also,
does the sloth get any benefit from this whole thing? Like,
yeah, so it is a symbiotic relationship, so both parties benefit. So we've talked about how the moths benefit, but the sloths benefit from the moths being on them, because when they groom themselves, they turn around and they lick up a portion of the moths themselves, and that's their protein source in the wild. So they eat a variety of small bugs and insects from the ones that are on their own back and ones that may be on the leaves that they're digesting and consuming. We opt to not give them the insect diet here because it's quite difficult to maintain and keep those alive and everything. We do get frequent bug shipments in for some of our other animals, but we opt to give him 2 hard-boiled eggs a week, and that's his protein source. Up until they're 2 years old, they get a mixture with a bunch of other good stuff in it, as well as a really high protein, high quality dog food, and it's soaked in water and mixed into that mixture, and that's where they get their protein. So we do have an alternative for that.
Right.
But in the wild, they get their protein from the moths, and then when they groom themselves, they also lick up a portion of the moth's waste. So when the moth goes to the bathroom on the sloth, now that waste is where the sloth will get the bacteria to be able to digest his food. So in captivity, we don't have the moths. So it kind of beckons the question, well, how do they get the bacteria to digest their food? It's not an enzymatic process like ours is, it's through bacteria. And that's because on day 3, when the baby sloth is just 3 days old, she will climb onto the chest of the mother and come up and lick the mother around the corners of her mouth. The bacteria that she has in her system is also in her esophagus and in her mouth, in her saliva. So when she eats, she chews up her saliva, mixes with the food that she's eating, and will froth up in the corners of her mouth. that baby will lick on her corners of her mouth and get the bacteria that's in her saliva. And that's where the baby will first get the bacteria to start making its own bacteria colony.
That is insane.
That's wild.
It's very intricate and very unique.
And even in captivity,
Yeah.
the breeder, that's what's
Yes.
happening too.
Yeah. And so we don't have the moths that live on them, so they don't have a way to replenish that bacteria colony if it were to begin to get low. So the sloth will keep that bacteria colony the rest of its life as long as everything is just right. So sloths have really important and really specific requirements for their temperature and for their diet, so they can't maintain their own body temperature. So if their temperature was to drop much below 78 degrees, then so would their internal body temperature.
Oh.
And because of that, the bacteria would begin to die off. And if the bacteria colony starts to run low, then there starts to run into issues with digesting their food, and everything can just start to back up, and ultimately the sloth could pass away with a full belly of food because they just can't digest it.
Oh my gosh.
So that's why it's very, very sensitive that we keep it, at least 78 degrees in here. Their sweet spot is 78 to 85 degrees. So we keep it a constant 78 in here, and we only open up their outdoor enclosures for them to explore out there when it is above 78 degrees. They also have really specific humidity requirements, so it has to be at least 50% humidity in their enclosures at all times. And so everything has to be really closely monitored, as well as their bathroom habits. So we consider ourselves poopologists basically, because once a week when they do use the bathroom, we look through it, we make sure that it's hard enough, we weigh them afterwards, make sure that their weight's staying up. Now since the sloth only use the bathroom once a week, they expel a third of their body weight every time. And so you can imagine right afterwards they're ravishly hungry and they want to eat everything in sight. So we have to be sure that we up their food intake right after they go to the bathroom and supply everything that they need. So
Feel the air.
it is a very intricate system, and everything has to be monitored very closely. And a lot of people don't realize that, and they see just a few seconds of our lives and they're like, oh my gosh, I want a sloth. How'd you get a sloth? Where can I get a sloth from? And I always tell people that owning a sloth, even after the whole spiel that I just gave on how complicated their systems are, some people still don't get it. Owning a sloth is a horrible idea. There is so much research and things that go into it. Sloths should not be pets. The sloths that we have here are ambassador animals. They serve to be education to the public, and they are not our pets.
They're your project.
Yes, exactly, yeah. So there's a lot that goes into
Stretch
that.
those ligaments, buddy.
What are you doing, bud? We're thinking about our next project
He doesn't
is,
like that air that popped on.
oh, yeah.
He woke up this. So your next project?
Yeah, our next project is to get a loop that goes all the way around the room, not just a straight, right into the wall there so that he can go around. My only problem with that is that if we go all the way around right here in front of the countertops, he can hang by just his back feet and extend pretty long down. And when he gets impatient in the mornings when I'm chopping his vegetables, and you guys feed him, so we have encounters at 10 o'clock, and that's what you guys get to do. So I don't feed him until I get here at 9:30, and there's a 30-minute gap where he's like, give me food. So he's gonna come over here and start reaching down trying to get the vegetables that I'm cutting. So I'm not sure how that's gonna work out, but I guess we'll see.
He can extend pretty far, I would guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're a baby boy.
So if you were to look at the skeleton of a sloth, you would think that that thing was like top of the food chain. So their arms are actually, when they're full grown, longer than their whole body. Their front arms, and the claws that they have, the teeth, they have 4 canines that are very large and impressive. Then all the way back, their molars, like our molars, are flat for grinding food, but theirs are actually pointy and they align just right to be able to grind their food up. But on a skeleton, several rows of really sharp teeth, you're like, oh my gosh, that thing's like only eating meat. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
So I think that if a scientist were to look at that, they would be like, oh my gosh, this is top of the food chain. But in reality, a sloth is a sloth.
Kind
So I
of
think
makes you rethink
it's-
dinosaurs there,
Yeah, exactly. That's always what I tell people. I think that the Lord definitely has a sense of humor for developing an animal like this, and then just making them what they are.
And such
Another-
creativity.
The question that a lot of people have is that, well, why are sloths so slow? Why don't they, when they're not eating, they're just hanging just like that. So obviously he had his bowl this morning, and now he's just hanging out and taking a quick cat nap.
Oh,
And
sorry,
sometimes
we're
if
just
they're-
having a moment.
That's fine.
If they're not sleeping, they could be just hanging like that and doing absolutely nothing. Because they don't have the energy storage to be able to just climb around and do weird things with no purpose behind it. So sloths don't feel like they constantly have to be doing something like a lot of us do. If you were to tell me to sit down and do nothing for an hour, I would get really antsy. Because I've got, energy stored up that I want to go and do stuff. But
Not me.
Yeah.
That's why sloths are my spirit animals.
yeah. So in the wild, what they eat are the leaves of the sarcopia trees, which is what they live in. And those are very, very, very low in caloric content. So they don't have the means, it takes calories to develop, everything into ATP and eventually develop energy to expel with, just reaching out and grabbing the next branch. So they don't have a whole lot of that, therefore they can't, just be expelling energy here and there, just doing random things. So if they're not making their way down to the bottom to use the bathroom, eating, or, going to the next branch to find some more food, they're just hanging just like that. Scientists used to think that they slept upwards to 19 to 20 hours a day, but after doing some closer research up close and realizing that a lot of the times that they thought they were sleeping, so like right now looking from the back, it looks like he could be possibly sleeping because he's just laying there not doing anything, not eating, doesn't have any interest in doing things. Yeah, but a lot of times that they're hanging there like that, their eyes are even open and they're just hanging there doing nothing because they don't have the stores to do that. So after realizing that, the scientists changed that number to about 15 to 16 hours a day, which is still a lot of sleep. When you have absolutely nothing else to do, I tend to sleep too. I go home, lay down in my bed, I'm gonna fall asleep. But pretty interesting how everything is laid out in them.
So in the wild, they really don't do much. So I'm just thinking enrichment and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
There's not really much.
Exactly. I mean, there's different zoos and places you can see that they try to make it a little bit more enriching for their food, like how they get their food. So they'll have different little designs where they can stick their food out of it, so they have to move the toy around to eat it and stuff like that. But for the most part, sloths don't want to have to work for their food.
Yeah.
In the wild, they're living in their food source. Their goal is to find the freshest or youngest leaves, but they'll eat all of them. And so.
It sounds like they've done a really good job of training humans.
Yeah. Exactly. I mean, if you were to hand feed me all of my food, and you had a whole plate of food, and I only like half of the plate, I'm gonna turn my nose up at the other stuff, and he does the same thing. Sometimes I'll even offer him a veggie on one side of the stick, and he's like, no, I don't really want that. And I'll act like I get another one, and I'll actually just turn the vegetable around to the other side and offer him that side, and he's like, yeah, see, that's what I want, and he'll eat that, and I'm like, it's literally the same piece too. They're not the smartest, but but they do have really good memory, though.
Really?
Yes, so in the wild, they live basically in one tree for their whole life. So the tree that they're born in, most of the time, is the tree that they stay in, unless they're going to find a mate. They fall out of the tree, fall into a water source or something like that, then they may vary. But they learn the tree that they're in, and they have an excellent memory of where each branch is. And it's the same way with their enclosures. They know how their enclosures are laid out, and they know where the branches are. They know where their favorite hangout spots are. And they can remember where everything is at. And when you have such poor eyesight, that's really important,
Right.
I've seen enough AI generated videos. I don't know what the actual truth is. Can they swim?
They can.
Okay.
So yeah.
I've seen some AI footage and I'm like, okay, that's
Yes, so if the
adorable,
sloth,
but
yeah.
incorrect.
If the sloth is not in the tree and they are trying to travel to, point B, they would prefer to travel by water. So when they're on the ground, they basically belly crawl, and it's like a way slowed down version than what they are even in the tree. Why, I'm not sure what the science is behind that, but when they're in water, they do kind of swim like a little breaststroke, and they are much faster in water than they are even in trees. That is the fastest form of transportation.
And he's not happy.
I'm the current placeholder.
Yeah. Grant is his new buddy. So Grant's gonna move in. Grant's our camel caregiver, so he takes care of all of our camels. And animals get very used to their caretakers. So Grant, you working with us year round?
Huh?
Are you with us for good from here on out?
At least until the summer. I'm going to try and figure out my plans after then.
Okay.
But I'm not sending her a photo, I'm texting her.
I can't send photos no more.
Oh, you have Sloths on your pants. That's
I
cute.
know, she does.
I love it. That's adorable.
How old is he?
This one right here is 4 months.
You baby, right?
Yeah.
He's big now.
Oh, it's huge.
Oh yeah, he's big for a baby, isn't he?
Yeah, well, she has the VIP.
Mhm.
How long is that?
It's an hour. So these people have a VIP as well. And so they do the first 30 minutes and then they're gonna swap and go to Zoe. And then I'm gonna start with you guys on Flash. And then after Flash is done, after 30 minutes, it goes to Zoe. So are you both doing VIP or just one of you?
Just her.
Okay, yeah, so it's an hour.
Okay.
And you can hang out here, pavilion, kind of wander around, just whatever. Not a problem. John's about to do a farm
So
tour
she
here.
goes in her here.
We'll go in the kitchen. Is it on, and it should be on live?
Hope so, my sister wants to see it.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
should be on
Okay,
live.
so where do you go first? Here?
No, we go into that kitchen the whole time.
Oh, the whole time.
So we're in that kitchen for Flash because he's hanging on a branch, and then we go into her room. Zoe has her own room.
Oh, I see.
Wait.
Just right inside that kitchen door. And I can video, take pictures, whatever you need.
Yeah.
Definitely will. Huh?
Who
And
is
then
she?
This is our media guy Kevin's daughter, Guinea.
That's my dad.
And so I don't know if, are we on live in there too?
There is one camera in there, but it's probably gonna go in with Zoe. But
Okay,
then,
that's fine.
yeah.
That's fine, okay. Yeah, right here. Okay. You're good. And then I'll come on in. All right, so we're ready. Hi.
What about her water?
You can bring it with you. Absolutely, yes, perfectly fine.
Bye-bye, baby.
Bye, sweetie, I'll see you in 30.
Yeah.
So what you got?
I'm meditating. I'm helping out with the podcast.
Oh, you have, I was gonna say, what are you doing right now? You look like you're doing everything. You're gonna do the animals?
Yeah, this is Tootsie and I'm gonna do her.
That's good.
Can I hold her like that? I'm becoming the new handler. Hi, Humphrey. Your eyes are so big. Hi. Yes, you're so big. Yeah, they get to see Humphrey and Alina. They get to see Humphrey and Alina. It's just everything that they do. Make it 10 out of us. Oh. You can watch the house.
When did school end?
Start.
Did you go to school?
Yeah.
When did it end?
Later. 3 or 2 weeks.
Oh, so the end of May probably?
Wait.
Middle of May.
Oh, the middle of May it ended?
Yeah.
Wow.
It's
I thought
like-
even earlier.
Yeah, but then it restarts again almost middle, beginning of August. They're just
Well,
working
ours
on
was the end of May and the restarts like August 2018 or 20.
Yeah.
Daddy, why is there a new dog?
Doesn't seem, I don't know.
They're trying to make it year round. That's what everybody's trying to do. Which I'm like,
What do you think about that as a parent?
I think that they're in there way too long during the day, and it takes an hour or two to learn. You need to learn not 8 hours.
I'm only bashful about my son and daughter-in-law that a kindergartner and then first grade wasn't working. And
Yeah.
I don't believe in that, especially if he's a little bit of this.
Right.
But I can't, so I can't.
Yeah, it's tough.
It's a two. But I don't think they should have year-round school.
Right. Oh yeah, that is not good.
Hey, Grant. Will you throw this?
I got
Will you take him? Thank you.
Do you know why there's a new dog?
What's that?
There's a dog walking.
Dog?
Oh,
So I'm a school bus driver
Oh yeah.
and in Illinois. And yeah, I don't think it should be. Where's the dog?
I know. I try to do it fun.
do not kick it.
What are you talking about? I don't.
Don't be naked. He went to the left.
Oh, does the dog belong to these people or no? Or is it some random dog?
Probably. But all of our dogs are like high and they're all great candies.
So I would miss my summer off too.
Yeah, exactly.
Even though I'm probably gonna retire soon. Then I'll be off all the time.
Hey guys, if you're just joining us, we're live here at Coe Riverside Farm, and you're checking out Boo and Ed, two of our adult camels out there right now. John's getting ready to bring in the rest of a farm tour, so you guys are going to get to see what a farm tour is like. So keep watching, and you'll be able to see a lot of stuff. Again, we're at Coe Riverside Farm. We are in Benton, Tennessee, halfway between Chattanooga and Knoxville. We have over 150 animals, guys. We have sloths, kangaroos, llamas, alpacas, camels. There is so much to do here. And we have lodging for up to 40 people. That's right. So we have covered wagons on the bank of the beautiful Ocoee River. We have a riverside cabin. We have a plant site. Camel condo is upstairs, really sweet. We have the barn loft, which if you love hanging out with horses, that's a great option. You just got to be around horses all the time. Check out the barn loft. We're getting ready to start offering llama hikes, backcountry horseback riding. Lots of great stuff. You can go to our website at CoeRiversideFarm.com and you can book anything that you'd like to do there. Thanks so much for following and watching, guys. Really appreciate it. Yes.
Are they coming?
They will be here when they're here.
Oh, whoa. Mom, it's supposed to get cooler.
test.
Hey, hey. How are you?
Can you wear this again?
Brother.
That is amazing.
Come on, sticks in a little bit. Alright, this guy is the exception to seeing touch and pet them all. This guy likes shiny things and he tries to take them from you. He especially likes watching watches and cell phones more than anything else. Apparently he wants my microphone. So this guy tries to take shiny things from you, so we try to keep him away from your shiny things or any other interesting thing. I'm trying to teach him what the Rolex symbol looks like, but you know, I don't have a Rolex, so it's a little tough. But anyhow, this guy is an arboreal creature, meaning meant to live in trees. The long, sharp claws and the long, wiggly nose on this guy tell us that he likes to. He's eating strings. Isn't that interesting? Eating his hammock. Well, isn't that fun? So, long, sharp claws, long, wiggly nose tell us that he likes to dig in the ground to eat bugs and grubs and worms and any sort of little varmint he can catch. He likes to eat any sort of lizard or amphibian he can get his claws into. He likes to run into bird nests and wipe them out, or squirrel nests and wipe them out. He can run up a tree just as fast as he can run across the ground, compliments of those big old claws, and he can run down a tree as fast as he can run up because his feet go completely backwards. So he'll run head first down a tree with his feet backwards and run just as fast as he can run across the ground. In captivity, his favorite things to eat are hard-boiled eggs and grapes and blueberries and superworms. He likes boneless, skinless chicken breast, boiled, not fried. He likes pizza. I recently gave him a piece of Papa John's Meat Lovers pizza, and he said, "Where have you been all my life?" And his very favorite thing in the world to do is run up into the trees to pet him from. And he shakes the branches like this, and the leaves all rain down. And the goats run around and go, "It's raining food, it's raining food." And Dakota sits on the top and goes, "Oh, you fools." And they all have a wonderful time. But this guy is a pet. He was bought and raised in the house till he was 8 months old. His very favorite thing to do in the house, though, was unload all the kitchen cabinets. And there is no child-proof lock that will keep him out of anything. If he can't operate it, he can bite it through. His teeth are huge, bigger than it looks like would go in his mouth because he has a gap in his top jaw, so his bottom tooth goes all the way through his top jaw, all the way up to the top of his mouth. His teeth are huge. And so this guy is Kodo. We're going to work out his situation. And the two in the next room over there are a breeding pair. The one on the ground there is Llama, and we believe she should be having another baby soon because the last time that she had baby, she turned gray like that about a month before she had a baby. And about 3 weeks ago, she turned gray again. So we believe we'll have a baby one soon. And her man is up there at the top somewhere. And she normally is the honey brown color that Coda is, except when she's about to have a baby. And the next one I'm going to show you we call Bakugan. And the reason we call them Bakugan is he's like the Bakugan toys, if anybody remembers those. It closes up into a ball. back half of his carapace. He does not have a shell because he's not a reptile. He has a carapace because he's a mammal. If you look very closely, you can see little hairs sticking all through, all over him, because all of these little star patterns are little bony plates, and then they're all held together with skin, like the bigger parts are right there. You can feel the skin on the bigger parts. Obviously, you can't feel it between those little bony plates. But this is the kind of skin and bone that will stop a 22 short. Obviously, we haven't put that to the test, but that's what I'm told. And then this is one of only 2 kinds of armadillos in the world that can ball all the way up, and that is his head and that is his tail. And then when you put him up like this, he just comes right out like that Bakugan toy does. And I think most interestingly is the way his little ears go. Like that. And obviously he's a mammal, he's got quite a bit of fur there. And then when we put this guy down on the ground, he runs around like a potato with high heels, basically. Little farm tour.
Does he like to be out?
He does, and he actually likes to be scratched too. So if you scratch him on his back, he'll kind of like roll around too.
So, he said if you scratch him on his back, he'll roll around?
No, he likes to be stretched. If you hold him like this, and just rub him, stretch, something like that. He's good at it. Yeah. Careful, he's not cheap around.
Oh my God, that's so cute.
I'm told that this guy can get to be the size of a soccer ball, run 30 miles an hour, jump 3 feet straight in the air. I'm gonna have to see it to believe it, because he's a year old. You don't know any part of a soccer ball you need. Yeah, this is a Brazilian. These are nowhere in America unless they're pet animals. And if you're not kind of see that on roads, and it's not kind of carried lettuce, so you're not gonna have to run around going up.
Over here.
Alright, these next ones have a similar theory of defense as Bakugan. They're just better at it. These guys are hedgehogs. So when they ball up, their quills all stick out tangent to their skin, and they can roll up so you can't even see that they have a face. And then if you touch them like that, when their quills are sticking out, they feel quite sharp. People often ask if they can shoot their quills like a porcupine, and I say exactly like a porcupine because they can either. That's a myth. And then when they open up and calm down, their quills all just lay down. You just pet them from the front to the back like that. If you pet them from the back to the front, you'll have a very different experience. And we've got a first aid kit right there. And if you're wanting to hold these guys, you want to pick one up, you put your fingers under them like this because they're soft on the bottom, they're only sharp on the top. And then you pet them like that. And if you're trying to take a picture with it, put your hand behind its 2 front feet like this, so you can be like, oh, where's their here? So you can have his face and your face in the same picture. Excuse me.
Wait, I'm scared. Pick him up like this?
Yeah, just underneath.
Oh, shoot quills, right?
No animal can shoot its quills.
This good?
Yeah. The reason that people think that porcupine can shoot its quills is if its quill goes into you, it has a little barb on the end and doesn't want to come back out, and they will run at your side of it, get you in. You got several of them stuck in you at the same time. When you leave from the porcupine, likely at a high rate of speed, the quills will snap off and go with you instead of staying there with the porcupine.
Oh my God.
And there is a porcupine in the first corner of the petting zoo up there. We just don't pet it, obviously. But that one is an African crested porcupine. And it will get bigger than a German shepherd and can have quills 4 feet long.
Wait, is it in the
In the,
does it not hurt the other animals?
it's in the it's an adult, it would be bigger than that little doghouse is. So, and the reason we have an African one, not an American one, is we're dealing with exotics here. If you have animals that are being held captive in the environment they are native to, that's called Class 5 animals. You have to have a specific license for that, and we don't have or want a license for that. But an African crested is an exotic animal, not from here. And exotic, it's worth knowing, doesn't mean endangered, it doesn't even mean rare. It just means not from here. So like kangaroos, exotics. In Australia, varmints and pests. Koala monies, exotics. In Central and South America, varmints and pests. That one is Penelope and that one is Julia. In Europe, where these are native to, they call these the gardener's friend, because a hedgehog is a carnivore, so they will eat bugs and grubs and aphids and things like that that are harmful to your garden, but they'll never eat the plants because they're carnivores. And in Europe, where they are wild, they go into the ground and they hibernate in the wintertime. The captive one cannot hibernate.
Now, because of their puppies, like who are their enemies?
Nobody.
Not to say, yeah.
Everybody hit the hand sanitizer. If you pick one of those, the next thing we're going to see is the baby. I think, is that the bottom case? Is that the bottom case? No, it's fine. Is it the middle case? Okay. Let's see what we got. Alright, this is a little group of sugar gliders. These ones are all from the same family. If you want to hold one of these, you scoop like pancake, front to back. Scoop like pancake like that. Don't grab them, don't take them by the body, just scoop like pancake. Sugar gliders are marsupials, meaning mammals with pouches. Sugar gliders are also native to Australia. What do you want this? Scoop like pancake. Scoop. Remember, the pancake doesn't scoop itself.
Is it like fun?
It's fun. These guys like to jump and glide. They can jump all the way across this building.
So will you like let them out like this? Like glide outside?
They would hit the ground before they got to the outside, and they're slow going across it down, so they wouldn't be tough to catch. You don't have to bend over. It's not going to fall. They won't fall.
Did you get one as a pet?
Yeah, we saw them here at Fest. Here's the thing about keeping one of these as a pet. It has to sleep in a different room than you sleep in, because they run on a wheel at night, and they sometimes at night bark like a little tiny chihuahua dog.
I had a hamster before.
Hamster.
They are. I put it in my room. My room smells so bad for the time that I had it.
Hamsters smell horrible. Guinea pigs smell like, and probably only worse is a ferret. Guinea pigs, hamsters, and ferrets, you could go on.
We had a very
We got a lot of animals still deceased. We're going to put these back. Next animal.
I don't know. Probably his microstrom.
Microscope next.
I was afraid it was in my
baby raccoons. Someplace, they attack us, right? We couldn't get back fast enough.
Why they call it a big problem? We all need.
They're biting everybody.
Alright y'all, this is the smallest animal on the farm. Anybody know what this is?
Mouse. That's a Zilla.
This is a micro squirrel. This is the world's smallest kind of squirrel. So this kind is native to South Africa. This one is 2.5 years old. This is as big as they get. One interesting thing about them, they don't fall down. Its fingers are so small, it's holding on to the lines of my skin. You just don't feel it. And you're welcome to hold this. Again, keep it like a pancake like that. Don't grab it by its body. This one is Tig. His wife's or not, sorry, it's Tack. His wife's name is Tig. And these guys do make excellent pets. They live 7 or 8 years. They live in a 10-gallon aquarium. Clean that aquarium like 4 times a year, summer, winter, spring, fall. And you get their bag of food from sugargliders.com. And it's $20 and they'll last you for a year. And these guys will belong to an individual person. When you first get one, you keep them in like a little bonding pouch or put a leash on them when you first have it. And then after about 30 days of holding it every day, it'll be bonded to you as an individual, and you can dispense with pouches or leashes or whatever else. And they live 7 or 8 years. And interesting thing about squirrels, not just micro squirrels, but squirrels in general, is hello from the tour. Yeah. You're gonna have to give me the details after I finish the conference. Where are you? Bradley Gold. All right. Hello? I'm going to buzz the gate, stay left at the pond, turn right on first gravel direct, go to the red barn, white roof. Right. Oops. Somebody says they have rides.
Right.
Rides on the things?
There's pony rides on Pack and Play.
I think Canterbury's Pet Plant Picnic is coming through the front gate right now. They do have pony rides.
I think there was like either 2 or 6, but there were definitely some on there.
So an interesting thing about squirrels, not just micro squirrels, but squirrels in general. When they say that a cat won't die from falling, that is completely a myth. If you drop a cat from high enough, it will land with a splat. But a micro squirrel or any other squirrel will not. Their terminal velocity is only about 20 miles an hour. It takes them 30 feet to reach their terminal velocity. After that, it doesn't matter if they fell from 100 or 1,000. And there is a study where some people put that to the test that you can read about, where he jumped out of a squirrel with an airplane. Jumped out of a squirrel with an airplane. I really can't talk today. Jumped out of an airplane with a squirrel. And the squirrel's measured speed from 7,000 feet to the ground was 18 miles an hour. So you could fall off of your bicycle and hit the ground going faster than a squirrel falls out of an airplane. So that's why they're so doggone brave in the trees, jump all around as if they fall. So what? Sure.
I'll put it back for you.
I couldn't believe you got me. So that's good. Yeah, you can do it. She will be on TikTok.
see three kinds of lizards here, and they all have their own form of mimicry. So this one's form of mimicry is she is mimicking an animal that has spikes. The reason that this is disguise, not defense, is these spikes are entirely fake. There's nothing sharp about them. So if you feel them, they're just little rubbery decorations to help her stay safe in the world by tricking something to think that if they bite, they'll get a mouthful of needles, but they will not. They're just rubbery little spikes.
Thank you guys for coming.
This one's Willie. Willie is an iguana. Willie is entirely friendly. I pick him up with gloves because he gets panicky when he's off the ground and blood loss gets old. And but if you pet this guy, if you pet him right here, he feels all rough and bumpy. If you pet him here, he feels like sandpaper or something. If you pet him here, he feels like a purse or a wallet. This guy, again, is an arboreal creature meant to live in trees. Those long claws let him climb really quickly. And he blends in well in the branches of trees. So the brown coppery legs blend in well with the bark of a branch, and his back blends in with the leaves of the tree. His form of mimicry is the big brown circles on the sides of his face. So if a predator is coming his way, he'll turn his head sideways like this and try to show this to be his eyeball. So he's trying to mimic an animal that is much, much larger than himself. Because if he actually had eyes that were that big, he would be something like an alligator. And a lot of things that might find in iguana would be a tasty snack, but not want to mess with an alligator.
He's closing his eyes for you.
Oh yeah, he loves it. He lives for the pets. This guy is very much a senior citizen, iguana. We don't know how old he is. We know he's at a bare minimum 18, because we've had him going on 4 years. The person that had him before us had him for 8 years, and he was already 5 feet long when that person got him. So he couldn't possibly be less than 18 years old. But there are iguanas recorded as old as 30, because prey type animals that are captive live far, far longer than they do in the wild, because there's nothing hunting them in captivity, and they also don't have to find their own food. So since there's nothing hunting them, and we bring them their own food, and we make sure they have the proper environment, they can live for a very long time. Similarly, kangaroos. In the wild, a male kangaroo is lucky to make 5 years. Here they live 20. A sloth. In the wild, they think they live about 20 years, but no one obviously has ever observed one from birth to geriatrics in the wild. So it's a theory that they think they live about 20. In places that they take them captive and use them up, looking for 8 to 10 hours a day, selling to as many people as want to pay the fee. Those ones have an average lifespan of 1 to 2 months, according to slothconservation.org or slothconservancy.net or the government of Costa Rica. But that's why we are very, very, very guarded of our sloths. Commonly only see 2 hours of encounters a day, only 2 people at a time. But ours are going to live 50 years. And there are quite a few well-documented sloths that live to be 50 in captivity. But it has to be about the love of sloths, not about the love of money. Live. They are.
How many can they have on a litter?
One.
Only one?
One. And they generally give birth about once in 2 years. So they're not prolific.
I've been in Fort Lauderdale, Miami, a couple of times, and this thing is just not alive.
Oh, I was talking about sloths. I don't know. These are egg bearers.
They're egg?
Yeah, these guys lay eggs. I have no idea how many. Do you know, Kevin?
I don't know that one. I'll look that up.
Never looked that up before. But yeah, they're all over the place down there.
Yeah.
Where are they from?
The tropical rainforest. And all over South Florida, they can swim all the way from, Puerto Rico to Florida. And they cross the straits, cross the Atlantic Ocean, yeah. Say what? Oh yeah, they're everywhere.
We were in Mexico, we were like playing in the hot tub, and one came out of the woods right back and ate bananas from us.
So the green iguanas are 21 to 77 eggs at a time. Blue are 1 to 21, and Marines are 1 to 6. But that guy is making some babies.
Wow. How heavy is he?
He's probably, what, 15 pounds? Thereabouts.
And you said they like to be held in there.
No. I wear the gloves because when he gets off the ground, he gets pain. And I don't know, he might very well sit in your lap, but I don't want those claws on my hair.
Yeah.
If you look at the top of his head, you'll see one little kind of diamond-looking area, and that's a peritoneal gland. See right here? So this is how he knows when things are coming out from the top. See that little kind of white one? So it's photosynthesis. So when you come up over top, you see like a shadow or light, and he's like, oh no, something's gonna get me. I think it's really cool. Like spider sense.
I wonder if it tingles though.
He might.
These guys are vegetarians. They don't eat at all. So did you stop riding because you weren't so good on pegs anymore?
I got hit by a car.
Oh, yeah.
So it was 2 years ago. I was cruising, so we ran a red light. I was in the intersection.
Oh.
And luckily it was like 100 pages, so he didn't kill me. They were doing like 30, 40 miles an hour.
Nice low hood too, so you went up, right?
No, that's how I lost my foot, was from the actual impact.
Oh.
And I went quite a few ways, and then I hit the wire of a telephone pole. I actually went into the wire, so it caught me across here. And pretty decent, pretty good one.
Glad you're alive.
Me too, man. I don't walk so much these days. I kind of just walk little bits at a time and sit down.
Yeah, yeah.
Really get cold.
I've totaled a number of them at
Oh, yeah.
over 100 miles an hour and
Oh,
walked
yeah.
away from all of them.
Same, I
And
had
the one that still hurts is I was behind a Scottsdale 10 dually flatbed truck. He put the left turn signal on, we drove to the left lane. As I passed him, he turned right. And it caught me up in the air. And I'm not saying I was going to land on my feet, but I was coming down feet first. The car coming the other way in the intersection of all put on right in the right there. Broke my tailbone. And that's the one that bothers me to this day, and that was at 10 miles an hour. And it's, I mean, all the opportunities to be severely injured were my own doing. And the one that really got me was 10 miles an hour. That left turn signal, moved to the left lane, and then turned right.
Where'd that happen?
Say what?
Where did that happen?
Virginia Beach, Virginia.
Oh, okay.
I was like, what's in there?
All right, these ones are more little lizards, and these guys have a unique form of mimicry. Can anybody guess what these are mimicking? And hint, this is usually much brighter colored than this.
Snake, maybe?
So what's true of many lizards or amphibians that are brightly colored?
Poisonous.
Poisonous, yeah. So these ones aren't camouflaged at all. They're strutting it out loud and proud, saying, "Don't eat me, I might be poisonous." Well, they're not. They're just, and parenting tip, if you're going to get a lizard, that one is easy. It's a vegetarian. It eats just salad is its main group. This one is easy. It's an omnivore. It likes anything you put in salsa, so cilantro and tomatoes and peppers and onions and whatever else. And then its protein comes from the little balls right there. And these ones are a terrible pain because these are carnivores. They eat pretty much nothing but live crickets and mealworms. And you could spend the rest of your life driving back and forth to PetSmart looking for the one day in this 2 weeks that they actually have crickets. That or you have to order them from Josh's Frogs, and it ain't cheap. Getting crickets shipped in. You would think you live on a farm and ship in bugs, right? But we're already getting stuff from Josh's Frogs anyway, because Baku, the little armadillo, he's an insectivore. So he gets superworms and mealworms and waxworms and hornworms and housefly pupa and black soldier fly larvae. And we sprinkle these out day by day in the dirt. And then they come out of the fridge, we sprinkle it in the dirt, then you got to give them an hour to wake up, or sprinkle a little water on them, and then they dig down, and then Baku has a wonderful time performing his natural foraging behavior in root rooting all through his dirt to find his bugs to eat. And he enjoys it a lot more than the bugs do, I think. But good for animals to have their natural behaviors to the extent possible. All right, let's see what's next. This guy is a smallish group. We'll let him come out with us. Walk him out. This guy is the one that I said is one day younger than the little black donkey that you saw up in the cutting farm. This guy's name is Prince Ali, and he is in fact a white camel. He's not going to change colors later in life. He is the only white camel I actually have ever seen live in person. He was born February 4th, so Blackjack the donkey up there February 3rd, this guy February 4th. And this guy is a dromedary camel. Live in the world there are dromedary camels and Bactrian camels. If you had any help of remembering the two words, you could very easily distinguish between the two, because a dromedary, capital D, has one hump, and a Bactrian, capital B, has two humps. So a dromedary Bactrian, that's how you know them apart. And then show us your next little charge there. Grant. Grant is our exotic animal guy. Living the dream, I think. I know I'm his boss, so he probably doesn't tell me if he's not living the dream.
I'm living, John.
All right. All right. We get home. This guy is a little whiny right now. He's been living with a companion animal because when he first came here, he would whine and cry. And these squares in the ceiling, those are glass windows that look down from the camel condo above, and those are the hidden secret bunk rooms up there that the kids have windows next to their beds that look down on camels and kangaroos. And you don't want to listen to a camel cry all night. So he's been in there with a companion. That's Elvis, the white alpaca outside, so named because of the chops. This guy was born April the 2nd. Did I say April on this guy?
No.
It's February the 4th is this guy. February 3rd is the donkey. February 4th is this. This guy was born April the 2nd. So he is like 8 weeks old right now. This guy is a Bactrian camel. And the reason that his humps are laid over like this is he's a baby. So their humps get full of fat. They don't get full of water, they get full of fat. And that is what a dehydrated camel would look like if it was an adult. When an adult camel is in the desert, they can lose 30% of their body mass to dehydration and still be entirely safe. And when they do that, their humps lay over to the side and are just loose and floppy. And we'll talk more about that when we go out and see the big guys in a minute.
Why does it fit?
Cool. I bet you're older than him though, since you can
Just a
talk.
little bit.
What are you, 8, 9, 10, 10? I'm not good at it. My youngest is 20. 20? Yeah.
Now, will you get his companion back, Elvis?
So,
Why?
They always fight, and whenever they fight, he'd be like green spit all over his face. And we don't want that anymore.
they're like brothers. They whine when they're apart, but when they're together, they fight all the time. And they stand and spit at each other all day long, to the point that you'll be walking by and get boom,
So does he get to like get out and play with others?
Oh yeah, he goes out all the time. Or you can put him back. These guys are the cute squad.
Oh, look at the baby.
So that one is Pepper, this one is Salt, that one is Teeny, this one is Shoot. That's Liza Minnelli, that's Llama Del Rey. That is Dodge because he's a ram. This is Tyler because that dude looks like a lady. That is Fox because he's the fox with socks. And so the sheep and goats, you're welcome to pick them up and hold them if you like.
Okay.
Llamas and alpacas are a little heavy for that. So points of interest on these guys. The Teeny there is as old as the other one. She just is teeny. And the animal right here is Shoat, because he's a sheep that looks like a goat. So my son brought this sheep home and he says, Dad, I got this cool sheep. I'm like, son, they saw you coming, that's a goat. And he says, no, Dad, I promise you that's a sheep. I said, son, I believe they told you that's a sheep, but I've seen a lot of sheep and that ain't a sheep. And he says, well, I bet you $1,000 it's a sheep. So then he had my attention. So he looked it up and showed me this is a black belly sheep. And so the technical difference between a sheep and a goat is a sheep's tail goes down and a goat's tail goes up. Yeah, they like people. Looks like they all like you.
That's an alfalfa in my bucket.
Say what?
That's an alfalfa in my bucket.
Oh yeah, that'll do it.
Alright, hello guys.
So yeah, they don't need much of it though because they're all still in bottles. So this is the luckiest unlucky sheep that you ever did see. She was a twin, so her mother rejected her, so that's unlucky. But she was on a meat farm and now she's on a pet farm. So that's from the agony of defeat to the thrill of victory. So she'll be here for all her life and be a pet. Here comes Shoat's person. This is Fallon. Shoat loves Fallon more than everybody else. Because Fallon takes her out on waterfall hikes.
Can you pick them up?
Yeah, go ahead. Best way to hold.
Come on, pick this one up. Yeah.
Best way to hold the goat. Just run from the back, hook like that.
Those are heavy.
Can I grab that mic?
They'll do your hair all over. Yeah.
Bring haircut.
Do not eat the wood.
How old was this little one?
4 months. Pretty much everything here is 4 months. I don't know. Probably in the kitchen on the counter. It's not the vacuum. When I get done with this, we're going to do the couch love seat thing.
I don't think she did. I can take a picture with you.
Yeah, be quick, Brian.
I quit riding because I had chemotherapy, and after I had chemo, I couldn't feel from my hair down for the next 18 years.
Same.
Yours might last a little longer than the 18. But, yeah, so learning to walk again is a terrible chore.
Yeah.
Because kinesthesia is the sense that tells where your limbs are in space, and I can have that in either.
Oh man.
From like, right there down. And they say your nervous system healed at an inch a year. And so, from there to there was 18 years.
Yeah. Yeah, I rode all types of stuff. I got in an accident one time where I hit a wall like 100. I wasn't even wearing a helmet. It was just 2 turns, and I lost it because geometry was off the road in the back, but not in the front. I didn't know it, and I was going around a curve. I washed out. When I hit the front brake, the bike came up on the nose and hit the curb. So instead of hitting the wall, I kind of got catapulted at an angle. So I kind of glanced off, and I went broke my collarbone and walk. I got knocked out. So pretty strong away from me. I told him a couple of them, but
More than a couple. Probably the only one that really hurt. I took it out of guardrail.
yeah, I hit the wire, so I got one that goes from here all the way. I got internally completely cut in half, so like my whole muscle was
Same.
Right.
From there to there.
Oh yeah, I got one.
That was back in, they're all sloshy. You know, well, I was sloshy for 4 months.
They had me open for like 3 or 4 days, and then it opened, and I couldn't even get sewed back up, and everything was so swollen. But I was in a coma for about a week, so.
Yeah, no good.
I'm good.
Everybody said they couldn't believe it, like, all the doctors said, I can't believe it's so blind.
My daughter is in med school because she wants to be a trauma surgeon and be like her dream case. So
Oh, man.
putting somebody back together out
It was
of
a whole
course.
thing. It was a whole thing. I knew a couple of the surgeons before that. They're like, dude, you ready to talk of the ER just because you lived.
The first word cut off too was like, glad I get to come to the doctor.
Okay, we have a stray dog in the backyard here at the bar. Dad's just trying to play with it.
Send me Michael. Hey, Michael.
Michael or Nicholas, y'all come to me at the petting pond, please.
Oh yeah, she wants it.
Michael.
I gotta keep the good stuff.
You want to see the good looking boy?
I just saw him walk around.
Does she have teeth?
Yeah, she
Super
does.
handsome, looks like me.
She'll just suck on your finger.
Liza Minnelli here. It's been, we've been trying real hard to keep that one alive. She got all the way down to 18 pounds, and that's why her neck is shaved, because I was giving her lactated ringers for days in a row.
How come some of them have collars and bells?
Because the other ones chewed them off.
Oh, I thought those were the ones that were off.
No, she thinks she's cute, and she thinks she's cute. And
It is cute.
I leave what's cute up to them.
Oh yeah, don't let you. Don't let him do that.
Buddy, stop. Okay.
I think Dod's about ready to go.
Not getting his.
It's not getting better.
Does it hurt?
He's still small, but it's going to get bigger.
This is alpaca?
Yes. His name is Llama Del Rey. That's because I thought it was a llama. Quite recently, I'm like, that's not a llama. I thought it just looked different because it was big. Then I'm like, well, there's one.
How much
Looks
do
just like a llama.
How much land do you need for, like, how much land do they need?
Oh, very, very little. Llamas are and llamas all poop and pee at the same place, generally at the same time. They like to drop in one spot. And the llama, they call it llama beans. Their poop is like the best fertilizer there is. My wife put that test to me last year when she put lima beans on 5 tomato plants and none on the other 5. And the 5 that had llama beans grew all the way up the side of the house and all the way down the stone wall. And probably made 10,000 cherry tomatoes. And the other 5 were just like ordinary cherry tomatoes.
Wow.
Have you guys seen
The amount of material in those beans, those magic beans, does not account for the crazy growth.
And that's the same llama in alpaca? It's just llama.
Same. And, but alpacas, a llama would be your better choice unless you're gonna have Michigan fans, or if you live around here, because it's too doggone hot for alpacas here. So they have, we hose them and leave fans out for them to leave run up all day, because they will die of the heat. You know, over 90.
I'm always wanting one alpaca.
Oh, they're not expensive. They're, the most expensive one I bought is that one. That one was $2,800. I think I gave $1,400 for that. The white one that's outside, that's his companion, they were just giving them away the last day I was there. I paid $400 for that for a 3-year-old walking around where it's 4. They're using it for 4 H. Friendly as a day, and $400.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've got some property. I was like, oh,
Probably the cheapest way to get one is to go to the exotic animal sale at Crossville, livestock auction, they have it 4 times a year, and they'll have a hunter for sale this fall. And Triple W livestock auction. It's in Cookville. It's on.
Oh my goodness. You go horseback? Yes.
Triple double auction.
Get your hair out of my mouth. Now, salt and pepper and
I think the next one is September.
Those ones really cheap.
And you'll be able to pick a lot for a few $100.
Sheep? Just head.
Females are better to have than males. Males can get pretty aggressive. Or just have a neutered. If you're gonna have a neutered, my bet is a good one to do that. That's Hedgehog Animal Services.
Is it better to have more than one, or is
Yeah. But if you have a male with your females that's unneutered, it'll prove the females really good. Never get tired of it.
understandable?
If you're gonna have a male out with your females, you gotta have one.
Gotcha, okay. That's how I handle that, all right, got it.
Dad.
Yes, sorry, you say that?
Why is it blue like
No, they're born gray, dark gray, and then
I
they
think they
turn
know my
white.
smell better.
And as soon as he gets a little closer to white and a little bit bigger, they'll go back outside with his parents. Only reason he's in here is Hawk will carry him off. And so he was in the egg 4 weeks ago. So that's how fast those things grow.
I'll show you the egg. It's like,
Wow.
it's crazy how fast.
That's a lot of growth in 4 weeks.
Can you pet the baby kangaroos?
On a kangaroo counter, you can, yeah.
Mom, go grab mine and roll around.
You can reach through the window and pet him if you want. Just, sweetheart,
Right.
you can reach through the window and pet him if you want. Just use the hand sanitizer first. There's one there and there's one there.
He
That's
looks
why
like,
its name is Liza Minnelli.
he actually looks like Ribbon.
Yeah.
Groucho Marx?
If it had been a boy, it would have been named either Groucho or Sam. Like Sam the Bald Eagle on the Muppet Show. Except Fort Lauderdale, when I lived down there, I lived on Oxahatchee Road. When I lived there, it was country. Now it's like,
Florida, that's Florida in general.
yeah.
When I grew up in Brandon, it was Cowfield, Northfield. Now it's
I don't care if I ever go to Orlando again. I know some carried down there, but I don't care if I ever see it again. Last time I was there, my wife broke the strap on her sandals. We were there at I-Drive and I-4, and my kids were wanting to ride that thing that does this.
Yeah.
And we're like, all right, you guys stand in line for the thing. We're going to run across the street. You can see the shoe store on the other side of I-4.